off. Tonight, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky shifting gears to his meeting now with European leaders happening this weekend. Of course, that's coming just hours after a fiery exchange in the Oval Office. After that confrontation, the Ukrainian president then seen leaving, really shattering hope for a deal over Ukraine's rare earth minerals. President Trump believed that deal would be an important step for Ukraine's peace with Russia more than 3 years now since that war started. And reaction to what happened earlier this afternoon is now pouring in. So we have team coverage tonight. Ian Russell takes us to a rally that happened in Minneapolis that wrapped up in the last few hours to support Ukraine. But we want to begin with Joe McCoy, who spoke to Minnesota lawmakers about this exchange. What did they have to say, Joe?
Well, Jennifer, I think it's fair to say that what happened today in the Oval Office was a historic moment. And as you might imagine, most of the reaction after the meeting is split between party lines, even though support for Ukraine in this war is bipartisan.
But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
The relationship between the U.S. and Ukraine taking a step backwards in front of the entire world.
Just say thank you.
Except that
there are disagreements.
Ukrainian President Zelensky clashing with President Trump and Vice President Vance for nearly 10 minutes as a deal allowing the U.S. greater access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for American military aid was called off in the Oval Office.
But it was such a bad moment for our leadership in the world.
Senator Amy Klobuchar shocked about what she saw.
Senator, you and Lindsey Graham met with Zelensky just this morning. How was he feeling about how this meeting with President Trump was going to go?
I could not believe how well that meeting went this morning, and it was with a number of senators. There were about 12 of us there.
You got a new shirt.
We gave our full-fledged support to Ukraine and President Zelensky.
Minnesota Representative Tom Emmer praised President Trump on X afterwards, calling him the master negotiator and peacemaker. Before leaving for Florida, President Trump saying he believes President Zelensky overplayed his hand.
I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war.
All of this leaving the future of this war and Ukraine's sovereignty in question.
If Vladimir Putin is allowed to just run into this nation with Iran, who's an ally of his, and with North Korea at their side against all of our allies in Europe, that would be a disaster.
After leaving the White House, President Zelensky tweeted thanking America and President Trump and saying Ukraine needs just and lasting peace. Trump posted to Truth Social saying Zelensky can, quote, come back when he is ready for peace. Jennifer.
Okay, thanks, Joe. And then there's this, too. In the last 2 hours, Secretary of State Marco Rubio calling on Zelensky, in fact, to apologize to Trump. Rubio also reinforced Trump's comments today that Zelensky is welcome back when he's ready for peace.
Today, this is not going to be productive any further. When Zelensky's ready to make peace and he's serious about peace, let him come back then. And that's when we'll re-engage with them.
And in the last few hours, more than 100 people wrapped up a rally in Minneapolis to support Ukraine. Ian Russell was there and joins us now. And I understand there were some pretty high emotions there tonight, Ian.
Yeah, well, Jennifer, high emotions is absolutely right. Those emotions obviously started earlier today in the Oval Office and carried over to downtown Minneapolis outside the Ukrainian American Community Center this evening.
We stand with Ukraine.
Bridging connections start step by step.
So upset about what happened earlier today at the Oval Office.
Emotions moving them forward.
It was embarrassing to see our leadership act so disrespectful to Ukraine and President Zelensky.
Red, white, and blue standing with the blue and yellow.
It's great to see we have a lot of support today.
Friday's meeting between the Trump administration and Ukrainian President Zelensky meant to bridge relationships over minerals.
Support is strong, and we're happy to support as long as Ukraine needs.
Minnesotans bridging Hennepin Avenue in support.
Kyiv was supposed to fall in 3 days, and then it was 2 weeks, and then it was the year, and still Ukraine stands.
Stephen Vidvitsky leading the way.
I was dumbfounded, I'll be frank.
Upset by what happened in the Oval Office.
We all stand for freedom, democracy, liberty, the rule of law, and doing what is right. That's right!
Upset like the more than 100 who marched Friday night.
This is my way of showing my support for Ukraine.
Ukrainians and Minnesotans standing side by side.
Bringing awareness to the Americans that we all live on the same planet.
hoping to bridge future connections.
The Ukrainians aren't alone, despite the rhetoric, despite the discussion today in the Oval Office. The Ukrainians should know that they are not alone.
According to the Ukrainian American Community Center, there are more than 20,000 Minnesotans of Ukrainian descent. Jennifer.
An emotional event indeed. Thanks, Ian. Our coverage of the heated exchange continues on our streaming app, KARE 11 Plus. You can download it on your TV and watch for free.